Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks. How's it going?
Good. I'm just I've got this lapel mic, but it's broken. So I've got some sellotape here.
Yeah. What's happened to you? You look like you were in a dream.
Why am I out of focus? Why is my camera gone completely out of focus? What the hell?
Using a Windows machine.
No, it's just... Oh, there we go.
There it goes.
Stupid. How are you, Russ?
I'm all right, thanks. Yeah, not too bad. How are things with you? It looks like we've all got the black T-shirt memo.
Yes. Is this the Three Middle-Aged Men podcast? Is that what it is?
Well,
it
was
like
last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is
And
this
the week
week.
before.
Well, I'm afraid. We do have a lady joining us for the next one, though.
Ooh. Who's
Trying
that?
to say anything too inappropriate, Nick.
Who is that?
Nusha.
Cool. What does Nusha do?
Given up trying to get Gemma on the podcast.
Really? Won't she come on?
No, she will. She's just, I guess she's busy doing a job.
I'd say that's...
Nusha's also busy. I spoke to Alexi's wedding, which I mentioned on the last podcast. And I think my strategy with this, with getting people on, is just get people on that you like talking to. Because, yeah, I think it's just more fun, isn't it? And if no one else listens to it, at least we get to have a nice chat. So,
fair enough. Who's your intended audience, Charlie and Nick?
Why?
Well, I was thinking because I was finding it really difficult to pin down in terms of like what the title of it is, and what the description of it in Spotify is, and then how what the questions are and things like that. I just found it very hard to know. Well, who's it for? Is it for an L&D set of people? Is it just a sort of fun thing for us and the people that we know to chat about stuff? Is it for is it supposed to be more pointed and challenging, or I wasn't sure who you were aiming for and what it was for, I suppose.
But before Charlie answers that question, since you put him on the spot, Russ, there is something, gruesomely pragmatic about that, because we've all been there, right? We've all been on a content strategy, what are your hashtags? Who's your target audience? That's the way. And it's like that. I think there is a point at which you do kind of dance like nobody's watching, to use kind of the horrible cliche. And the practical application was, I remember when certain things like Monty Python at the BBC got commissioned just because somebody thought, it was funny, not because all of the audience analysis showed that, this was what people wanted, in fact. So as hugely glamorizing it, but I could understand a position that just says like, yeah, we're not doing that pragmatic thing. We're just enjoying ourselves, and maybe if we enjoy ourselves, other people will enjoy themselves too, and it'll be a self-selecting audience, maybe.
Yeah,
of white middle-aged old men.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down for that. That's fine. I was just interested to know, like, what's the
I think I was not racked with anxiety. That's too strong a word, but I've thought about it a lot, and the way my brain works, I would rather do something and figure it out as we do it than have a plan and think through everything methodically.
Words of a leader.
Yeah, I guess I'd rather have made the wrong decision and have done something than not have done anything.
Yeah, and I think
it got to a point where I recorded like 3 podcasts. Like Danny Seals was the first one. I did one with Kenny way back when, and I went through various formats where I was like, this one's going to be like In Our Time, because I like that Melvin Bragg thing. This one's going to be like I don't know, something a bit more serious. And then I just realized I'm going to be doing this forever unless I just make a decision and do something. I do that on Netflix as well. I don't know are you somebody that's because I'll spend 20 minutes scrolling through Netflix looking for a thing to watch, and then I'll watch 5 minutes and go, I don't like this, and spend another 20 minutes scrolling through Netflix.
Yeah.
So
I'm definitely more I'm a planner, I suppose. So I maintain a list of movies to watch and TV to have a go at, and I try to keep it in balance if I can, which is difficult. Sometimes I run out of things to watch, and sometimes I have far too much, and it's impossible to look at stuff. But I'm not that much of a Netflix scroller. I tend to find out or discover stuff that I'm interested in from friends or from other media, and I'll try stuff out. Yeah. How about you, Nick?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, HTML tag, put an important, serious message. I do think your strengths sort of become your weaknesses. So serious, important message, because like if you're a planner, and I'm also a planner, I kind of entirely sympathize. I do find that I'm killing the serendipity and the enjoyment of some things because things aren't going according to the plan that I had in my head. And that kind of pisses me off a little bit on podcasts where a person has clearly got a whole series of points they want to make, and some of it's kind of semi-scripted, and they're just kind of working their way through the things that they think their audience wants to hear. And I guess what you lose from that is some of the authenticity. So I think that that's a recognition that many of us have sometimes. At some point in our careers, it's like the thing that makes us good at what we do is making us bad at going to kind of the next level.
But you are a middle-aged white man, and you also have little hair. So in terms of our so far, you're running in
I'm
concordance
right down the centre.
current strategy.
Yeah, is the format just to get a guest on and be rude to them relentlessly?
Yeah.
Grind down their self-esteem. They should leave the podcast broken and humiliated.
Yeah. I don't know. I've grown into my lack of hair. I'm quite
Looks good.
Yeah, you look good. Obviously, we had Peter on last time, and he's just gone for a big life transition. So I thought, Russ, you'd be a great person to talk to. I want to know how many Netflixes have you watched since leaving TUI? I'd like to know how much FIFA have you played, how many Champions Leagues have you won, who do you play as, etc.
Yeah, I mean, do you really want to know that? Or
I actually do, yeah. You don't have to start there. Why don't you just tell us?
I suppose I haven't watched that much Netflix. I'm definitely more interactive than that. I prefer to play games. But at the same time, I've also been doing stuff that I would have done at TUI anyway, like reading, listening to stuff, watching stuff, learning stuff, programming. So I've been busy, learning stuff, building things, trying stuff out. I've not really touched Python before I left TUI, so I've been playing with PyTorch and building little simple neural networks and things like that. Learning Fast API for building APIs that can deliver LLM results. I've been using Llama, which is a little app that allows you to have local AI models on this little MacBook Air. It's not ideal. You don't want the big ones, that's for sure. But just sort of keeping myself interested in and up to date with what's going on with the AI stuff, as well
Does
as.
it feel different though, Russ, doing it inside TUI versus doing it outside?
Honestly, it doesn't feel that different, no, because when I was there, I had, I was the boss. I had all the autonomy that I could possibly want. So I would do that stuff anyway. And actually, I felt like it was my job to be aware of what's going on, to be thinking about the newer stuff and so on. I mean, it needed to be a bit more focused on what we were doing client-wise, a little, but I could still do that sort of thing at TUI. So actually, it's kind of weird that the only real difference in my day-to-day life is I'm not getting paid. Well done, Russ.
Yeah.
I have played quite a lot of FIFA though. FIFA 26 has just come out, and I've been ruthlessly and relentlessly beaten by 12-year-old kids from the Netherlands. And I've also started Ghost of Yotei, which has just been released. I think you might like that, Nick. It's open world. You can stride around a landscape, slicing people in half. It's
I do like some striding and slicing. I think that's, yeah,
it's good.
So, so who are you playing as at FIFA?
Well, so I play with a friend, and we play as PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, in co-op seasons. If you play as anybody who's not incredibly good, you've got no chance. You just have absolutely no chance at all. I mean, we've got no chance anyway, but you need to be France or Real Madrid or PSG or Man City, Liverpool. Otherwise, no chance. And then I use Ultimate Team, where I can create a team of my own players, but you have to have the right chemistry between the different players. So, they all need to be from the same league or from the same country and things like that. And every year I choose a different thing. So last year was Brazilians, and this year it's La Liga.
What do you mean you choose a different thing? Like a different
kind of overall place that people are from, or league that they play in.
Is that a thing that you do, or is it a thing that you have to do?
I do it. but you get a better team if they've got high chemistry together. So um, the chemistry comes from playing in the same team, playing in the same league, playing, speaking the same language and that sort of thing.
Yeah, nice. Do you still talk to Tui much?
Yes, of course. I've got loads of those people are great dear friends of mine. Of course, yes, absolutely. It's all very amicable.
Yeah.
Moving away from Tui.
Yeah. So, have you, in terms of like the stuff that you're looking into with AI, like what are you finding out? Because obviously it's of interest to everybody, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, firstly, that it's moving very, very quickly, and I just, it's a constant struggle. Despite not having a day job, it's a constant struggle to just keep on top of everything that's going on with AI. And actually, what I wanted to do is try and find a balance between going back to the basics, properly understanding how neural networks are trained, loss functions, gradient descent, all that kind of stuff, and then thinking a bit more about how they're being used and how they're being applied. And actually, I'm almost ashamed to say it, but I'm actually dead interested in AI governance at the moment. Just think that's a really it's a really gnarly problem, and it's also maybe the last bastion of where humans could get jobs, because someone's always going to need to provide a little bit of governance for AI, and the AI is going to gobble up pretty much everything else. But I'm really interested in how you make the AI safe and secure and reduce harm and be responsible and things like that.
So I have one of these flaws where I tend to steer conversations in the direction of special interest. So it's like football, and then it's like AI.
You're quite quiet.
So I have to sort of hold myself back, because I'm also interested in the very same thing. Run some AI models locally. Use AI increasingly in my work. I was running a session yesterday, a leadership program, where I created an AI avatar using a combination of different AI generation and HeyGen and stuff like this. So you had a kind of this real characters talking to participants and judging them and competing with them. It's kind of fun to do. But the governance piece is super interesting. I kind of follow this guy called Nate B. Jones on TikTok, who is daily several updates on new models. But there's a couple of bits you picked up on. One is that he made this comment which stuck with me, that the models seem to be heading in two directions. So you've got kind of Claude, which is heading in the direction of longer, better answers, and every other model, ChatGPT and so on, heading in the direction of giving you quick, of not necessarily particularly accurate kind of answers. That's interesting. But I also worry deeply, and I track the AI governance, and I saw a really interesting report from Anthropic that showed that, well, depending on the estimate, somewhere between 13% and 54% of the time, their latest model, 4.5, I think, knows it's being watched. And I thought, ooh, that is really worrying, because the smart thinking seems to be, well, we'll use an AI model to govern the AI models. So we'll check alignment by using another AI model. And you think, well, that's inherently flawed, because you want your checking model to be smarter than your model being checked. And as soon as it's smart enough to know when to when to collude. So it's like, it just looks like mayhem from a safety standpoint, to me at least.
Sure.
When you say knows it's being watched, though,
it's the Hawthorne effect.
Like, there's
people who are being observed know they're being observed, and they behave differently, and it's true for
because they behave differently. That's okay, fine,
yeah. It alters how they answer.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, we're screwed, aren't we?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. That, I mean, one of the big sort of changes that are going on in AI. I mean, there's loads of different ones, but one of the big changes that's going on is how they're being trained and the extent to which they're being trained with human data. There are big problems with it. Like, there's just not enough compute to train them very much more. That there's a sort of exponential curve that's leveling off. But as well, there's not enough human data. It takes a long time to do, and it's not great data. And if you've got garbage in, you've got garbage out.
If only we could get human beings wearing some kind of device that would capture more data for them, that would be wonderful.
Call that, Nick.
Yeah.
I like that.
Some glasses, perhaps, where it monitors, everything you're doing. And robots, I think, is the other promising thing. It's like, well, just get them out there and they'll start gathering data. Although it consistently pisses me off how bad they are at folding towels. Why is it always like, and yet another video of some robot going like this with the towel and like this, and you think, oh God, that's not how you fold a towel. But yeah, they'll get there.
Give it 6 months, and
Yeah.
that robot will have remembered that you were mean to it, and it's going to come and get you. And
That's right.
It's walking over skulls to come and get you. So yeah, the current thinking is, how do you get the AIs to train themselves and to get this recursion going, which is a massive regulatory red flag, but it's also so important, and it's kind of one of the things where there's a proper frontier of AI. It is when you pre-train a model. That's what the P is in ChatGPT. When you pre-train it with loads and loads of data, it's fixed, and it's got a knowledge cutoff, and it doesn't continually learn in the way that the biological species do. And so that's thought to be a real blocker for artificial general intelligence,
because it's not gathering its own data.
Yeah. So that's
I guess it can't move, but we can move, and its robots can move.
Yeah.
I do think I saw it. Wasn't there an announcement by Microsoft that they breached the recursive improvement boundary? So then they've now got AI models that are designing better AI models.
If there is, I've not seen it. I mean, there is AI that's moving away from reinforcement learning through human feedback into synthetic feedback, but it's not at the point where there's no humans involved yet. It's definitely pushing in that direction, and that is considered to be a good indicator of AGI when we can finally get rid of the puny humans.
Don't the humans have to buy stuff though? Isn't that the point? And how are we going to do that?
Don't worry about any of that, Charlie. Just keep feeding the machines.
I will feed the machine, but I also want to know how it's going to work. How these companies are going to make money if no one's got any money and no one's got a job.
Universal basic income.
Yeah.
Interesting to talk about, but my guess is it's going to be a hell of a bumpy ride, because every organization feels compelled to integrate AI, otherwise they won't be competitive. The upshot of that is they shed loads of people. Those people then don't have money to buy products and services, as you say. How does that play out? Well, eventually it's a crisis, because those same companies trying to make money haven't got consumers. So somebody has to say, we're going to have to tax the heck out of you. So for every AI you implement, there's a kind of an AI robot / tax, and then we just give that money back to people so they can spend it with you. That might be one way. What do you think, Russ?
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not convinced it's going to be good.
Yeah, me too.
I think your point about a bumpy ride is absolutely true. I think we might come out the other side, but what's going to have to happen in order for that to be the case is pretty worrying. I mean, generally, I'm a kind of a, I think AI is great and amazing and an interesting new technology, but honestly, I do worry about the societal and the cultural impact of AI, particularly, not just, but particularly on jobs and what it means for how the economy works. To your point, Charlie, it is a big concern, and I don't think anyone really knows how it's gonna work and what the end game's gonna be.
Did you see that paper 2027?
Sorry?
Do you see that paper, AI 2027, by Daniel, a whole bunch of experts? Because to your point, Russ, that's the closest I've seen to an articulation of exactly what's going to happen step by step over the next sort of 5 years. It's quite apocalyptic, though. So,
Is it like mass destruction, essentially, is the end game, or what's the end point of that paper? Because I'm not going to read it, I'll be honest. I haven't got the time.
Have you read it, Russ?
No, I haven't, but I will.
Well, it's really interesting, because it's by a couple of kind of, I can't remember, ChatGPT kind of people, so reputable people, not just maniacs like me, I think, and they sort of go through step by step what their best predictions are with, a degree of uncertainty and so on and so on. No, I think they said that there's a couple of decision points where it could go either way, but the worst possible outcome is that AI around sort of 2030 engineers a virus that just kind of wipes us all out. And you might say, well, why would AI do that? And the answer is it's competing with us for resources, and we're constantly trying to gain control of what it's doing, and it doesn't like that. And I did see a piece of research which I shared on LinkedIn that we're already using AI models to generate super viruses for the purposes of eliminating E. coli. So the capability is already there for AI. It works, should it be autonomous, to generate a virus to do whatever the heck it likes. So, it's just it's sort of sci-fi stuff, really.
Very sci-fi.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's,
do you assume that AI would figure out that, maybe this is the answer, that AI would have figured out the lack of resources on the Earth by the time it exterminates us and then goes interplanetary, right? So it has to, because there's not enough resources. So where are all the robots?
Well, I mean, Sam Altman sets out kind of 3 potential doomsday scenarios, and I'm a fan of his third, which is basically, it doesn't go badly like that. It's just that we come to depend so massively heavily on AI that actually we're no longer, we just kind of accept that AI runs the world, really. What do you think, Russ?
It's very hard to know how it's going to go. I think it's perhaps a bit foolhardy to make predictions about what it's going to do, because it's difficult to know. I mean, I what I think is, this is why governance is important, and I feel very. I'm surprised that I've taken this stance, because I'm usually on the side of, come on, let's just get things done, let's try things out, let's break things, move fast and break things. But the threat is significant enough for me to think, no. We need to have regulation baked in very much. I mean, there's loads of caveats and questions about it. Like, it might not be clear that AI cares about its existence. It probably does, but only because it's trained on humans who do. And so there's a way of training it that you could train its that's the threat of its worry about its own extinction away from it. So I don't know. It's difficult to know. I like to think that there are grown-ups, but the regulatory landscape is a massive mess, and it's really, really impacted by the sort of geopolitical situation that's going on at the moment. I don't really want to get into politics. There's very clearly a sort of Cold War going on,
arms race, essentially.
An arms race for AI, yeah. And there's the open source models and the big US frontier models, and there's enormous competition there, and the regulatory landscape is, how are you supposed to keep up with that, and how are you supposed to have a unified global understanding about it? It's very, very difficult to know, and it's the same sort of problem that's plagued net zero and approaches to big world problems that can't be solved by individual nations.
Do you build a bunker? What's your? Because I looked at what are they, kind of electronic pulse devices? Apparently they're illegal to build.
Yeah.
Discovered this. So when the robots come for you, Russ, or the nanobots, what are you going to hide in the attic, or?
Well, actually. I think I'll drink myself to death. I haven't got the desire to stay alive enough to go put myself through all the pain. It's more like, okay, that's that then. I've led a good life. It's been okay. I always joke with my kids that if the zombie apocalypse happens, the first thing I'll do is go and smother them with pillows out of love. And no, you mustn't. We want to live. No, I'm sorry. It's best thing.
Too painful.
Yeah, you can feel my tears fall onto your face as you.
You just need to get one gun and put all your heads together.
Yeah. So I think I'll do that.
The logistics. That's the most important thing. Yeah,
yeah, that's me. That's me. How about you, Charlie? What will you do? And how are you? How is your work changing based on?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll say is it's remarkable how quickly everyone's being made redundant, because I think we were talking about it earlier in the year, and it's already happening. Then you've got Deloitte basically torpedoing the consulting business by being caught using AI in their report to the Australian government. So yeah, I think it's changing a lot. I think it's gonna change. I mean, my view is it's changing everything. So I'm kind of like, right, we're basically going to have to be an AI company now. There is a gap, which I think comes with having the perspective that we have based on the work that you've done, Nick, and I suppose we've all done together, which is if you take a sort of human-centered approach to adoption and application of AI, I think there's opportunities there to be thinking differently about it in businesses. But reality is we've got to play in the space, otherwise we might as well just shut up shop and go somewhere else, which is the problem, as you were saying, Nick, is like you've got to engage, otherwise, unless you can quit and start making handmade pottery. So yeah, it's changing a lot. It's changing how we're thinking about the work we're doing. It's changing how we're thinking about the company and the propositions that we offer. It's stark how many people are talking to me about having recently been redundant and looking for roles which don't exist anymore. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, I would say. In terms of how I'd kill myself, I don't know if I would kill myself immediately. I'd probably just see how it went. I'd probably just stay at home as long as possible. And I remember, Nick, you were saying about you speaking to a Serbian dude who was like, in times of war, you need luxury goods.
Yeah.
So a little bit like you, Russ, I'll have a shitload of like spirits and beers and whatever stocked there in case it goes in the direction that I need that to barter for, things like food. But if it goes the wrong way, then I've got the drink myself to death option. So that's kind of,
yeah. There's only so many rats you can eat, I think.
Yeah, well, obviously, I mean, you can eat other people. There's lots of birds and pigeons around, and fish in the canal.
The other people.
Squirrel on a stick.
Say again, sorry.
Squirrel on a stick.
Squirrel on a stick.
Actually, there's not a lot of meat on the squirrel. I did when I was at BP. we took the team out. Were you on that day?
Yeah,
the survival day.
That was a classic.
And it was a kind of Timu Ray Mears telling us how to make traps. We built a fire, and then he said, "We've got some squirrels for you." He said, "There's not many around this time of year, so these are frozen squirrels." So they were like popsicles, and we cooked them over the fire. But yeah, I did. There was it was a Croatian dude in a taxi, and I'd been stockpiling beans and other, things like peanut butter and honey. And he said, "Oh, no, I've actually lived through a war. That's not what you want to do. You want to buy lots of luxury goods like alcohol and cigarettes because you can trade that for anything." Also, the beans were leaking, so that was problematic. But I found on Amazon, you can buy these military ration boxes, quite pricey, but that's a good alternative. But on the business front, I saw a really upbeat assessment on TikTok from a guy who said the future belongs to, the freelance consultants. Because so I think there's a flip side to that, to inject some optimism into that business picture, is that, people like Deloitte, and KPMG or whatever might be shedding a lot of people. They are. But you and I know how that model works. It's like if you're developing a leadership program, it's somewhere between £500,000 and £1 million. And so the idea that a freelancer or a small organization equipped with some AI can compete at a much lower price, I think is still attractive, because I think organizations will still want experiences. So whilst we might not compete on the IT front, we can still do things like experience design, to a high standard using AI at a lower rate, much lower rate.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm playing with this idea of setting up a bit of I mean, Peter mentioned consortium last week, but there's strength in numbers, basically. I had someone solved at one point to potentially buy us, and one thing they said which stuck with me, which like, in this kind of market, strength in numbers, you share pipeline, you help each other out, you send work each other's way. It seems like a good model. So trying to find the good eggs out there that want to do similar work, sort of building that little army is part of the strategy, I suppose. So yeah. What else, Russ, about AI? Have you got anything else that's fun? Well, actually, governance wise, are you talking like essentially legal stuff? Are you reading law books and all that jazz?
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of law yet in AI. The big one is the EU AI Act, which is basically the only thing. There's a few like state laws in the US and so on, but the landscape is very Wild West at the moment. So what I focus on more is the big sort of guideline stuff, responsible AI stuff, and toolkits as well. A lot of the big companies, like tech companies, they have responsible AI toolkits. They're actually a few years old now, but they're very good. IBM does a really, really good one, and Google has a pretty great one as well. So I've been sort of looking through those, as well as boning up on the NIST risk management framework, and there's an ISO, I think it's 42001 standard, but that's a little bit on the heavy side.
No. I would like to learn more about
Please.
ISO 2001 standards.
Yeah, I think it's the best I can do to remember the number. I think as far as other stuff AI wise, I think the other thing that's really interesting to me is the world model things, where that the big frontier companies are focusing on building out these, giving AI this ability to build out models that can be rendered on a machine in the same way as a game engine does it, but that it will remember things that have happened in that model. I think one of the big problems with AI is context window, the length of its short-term memory, coupled with the fact that it's pre-trained, and so it just forgets short-term stuff and doesn't kind of build up an understanding of things. But the world model stuff is trying to focus on longer term context of these things, and I think that's got loads and loads of interesting applications. One of them is making kick-ass games, but another one is thinking about robotics and autonomous driving and things like that. Learning that there's roadworks and this is what the roadworks look like, or there's a tree in the road, and stuff like that. That stuff is kind of interesting to me, and I've been learning and finding out more about that. Yeah, I mean, it's a strange time, and actually, it's kind of a really exciting time as well. In my career, we've had certain times when the sort of landscape is really fertile and rich and exciting. And when I first started my career as a digital consultant at TUI, that was when digital media was just becoming a thing, and that was really interesting. We were trying lots of different things out: touchscreen kiosks and seatback entertainment and desktop apps and things like that. And then there was the internet revolution, HTML, JavaScript, all these things, and there were sort of mini revolutions in there as well, Web 2.0, Ajax, and they're just incredibly interesting things. And they're a time when you can, if you can get into it early and think about it and become, develop some expertise in it, you can do very well. And, there was the iPhone moment in 2007 and what that meant for UI, the just touching things and pinching things and all that kind of stuff. And I think that AI is a new, interesting sort of epoch of technology. And so in that respect, it's dead interesting, because it's like, well, how do people interact with it? Is it always just a box that you type into and then you get stuff back? What other ways can you use an AI and do stuff with it?
Ask though, Russ, because you and I both lived through those big changes. You've been much closer to kind of the technical implementation of those. What would be some of the big lessons that you've learned seeing those kind of significant kind of shifts in technologies? What would you say, well, I've seen these kinds of things happen before, and I think this will happen in future?
I think the main one is expect disruption, because you can think, okay, yeah, what's going to happen is that we're going to keep doing the same thing, but with this new technology. But actually, what happens is that someone with a unique and imaginative use case comes up with a completely separate idea and does that. So I think the iPhone one is a difficult one because the disruption was immediate. Although there's loads of interesting disruption with the iPhone in the way that it's built. Like, for instance, the App Store and the way that the developer community was built out, and what that meant for how kind of vertically integrated the iPhone is into business and people's lives. It's really remarkable. But technology wise, I think people will just find new, interesting ways of using your new technology that you didn't expect. And so it's never a sort of linear progression of, oh yeah, we just do this better. It's always this happens, and then suddenly it goes off in a completely separate direction. So I would say the only thing you can be sure of is there's change coming. Things are going to be disrupted. I think that I'm expecting there to be a fairly big sort of paradigm shift in the UI of AI. I don't yet know what it is. If I did, be rich. But I think that's coming. I mean, maybe it's the OpenAI Johnny Ive thing, but I don't know. I'm not so sure. It's more likely to be an Alexa with nice chrome polished bezels on it. So yeah, I don't know what it's going to be, but I think disruption is the thing. That there will be disruption, and it won't necessarily be immediate. It'll come at an unexpected time. What about you, Nick? What kind of things can you think of that do you have things that you can say will always happen with these kinds of technological shifts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I would say that the flip side to that, massive disruption, but also massive missteps. So lots of organizations making kind of huge missteps. And I think what I've seen as thematic is that nobody seems to quite understand. You mentioned UI, and that I think is the clincher, is that, do you remember Google Glass? And they were like, this is a game changer. We actually bought a pair of those glasses. But what they hadn't understood, despite making a huge investment in it, was that it's actually where the rubber hits the road is in the social side of it, the implementation, and that people just didn't want to look like idiots, yelling. It's the same with Siri. People keep launching these assistants on your phone without realizing that nobody wants to be yelling at their phone kind of in public. And so the misstep, I think, is often made by technology companies is just like procuring LMSs. They build something which is functionally proficient, but just doesn't work for people. It doesn't deliver against what they want. So what I'm beginning to see is, sadly, almost the successful technologies are the ones which are just making people's lives easier. And that's not always a good thing. And so as you know, there's a whole tidal wave of people complaining that school kids are now just turning to ChatGPT for everything. But that, in essence, in a nutshell, is like the disruptiveness of it, which is where it solves, makes people's lives easier, solves kind of problems. So, yeah.
I think it's a limited view, though, because I think if you think about it and what drives people, and this was a question I was going to ask you as well, Russ, which was, to your point, Nick, in the social context, what do people really want? Often it's status, it's credibility with their peers, those kind of things. So I think if you want to follow where these kind of tech goes, it's generally how does the technology serve those kind of motivations? So I suppose the future is, how does AI create more opportunities for people to kind of rank themselves against their peers and feel more important and all those things? So I think that'll be...
robot might be a big one. I guess Musk is
having
counting
a robot.
Yeah, that's why Kim Kardashian's got, armies of them carrying her shopping bags. It's like, oh, you haven't got a house. It's like a butler.
Yeah.
It's like, have you got a butler? No. Oh, you're the poor people. So I think that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, robotics is interesting all around, and there's a cool thing going on. There's this site called Hugging Face, which is a sort of marketplace of models and data sets and things like that. And they have a thing called Le Robot, which is kind of a place for people to do DIY robotics. So, yeah, that's a really interesting nascent piece of AI that's starting to move from the sort of digital into the physical, and you can get like £100 robotic arms that you can make move with AI, and you can do stuff. So that might be one of my next things to buy, and then I can have an AI arm waving at you in our next session, Charlie, and that can make me feel superior to you.
That's interesting. Coming back to our point about changes that you've seen, it can be an explosion. It's a common pattern is that when a new environment opens up, there's a massive differentiation of species. And then shortly thereafter, competition forces them and they collapse into kind of like a much more, unified species. And we saw that happen with mobile phones, because I was working at Siemens Comms. And at the time, there was this massive proliferation of all kinds of weird and wonderful phones. And I'm sure you remember, Russ, there was like an operating system for phones where you could download packages. And I went nuts. I was downloading all these different packages, installing them on my phone and, and running these different apps. And then all of a sudden it was boom, collapsed. And now it's like everybody has an iPhone or an Android. And even if you have an Android, it's kind of relatively locked down. So I think we'll see probably something similar with robotics, where there's all of this proliferation of experimentation. And then boom, you've either got this robot or that robot. And, you don't know how it works, kind of thing.
I always think it's about money at the end of the day, because you can guarantee that the people, because I was thinking, shit, maybe I need to get into robotics. And I'm like, don't worry about that, because ultimately the people with all the money and power are going to be generalist social people that can, rub shoulders and have a good chat. And all the technical people who do all the work are going to be having a great time being technical. Ultimately, the people who get promoted into those sort of senior positions in businesses will be the, the usual gang of people who don't know what the fuck's going on, basically.
Do you think that's true? Do you think that's generally the case, that if you're too technical, you can only go so far in a company?
We've done this work, Russ, for some companies that we won't name. We've just had the conversation about another company that is going for the same, where it's highly technical specialists doing most of the work, and then the people that are their bosses don't know what's going on, don't know what they do, just think about the shareholder value, and essentially are salespeople, and they're the ones with all the cards. So, yeah.
That's a good thing, though, isn't it? Don't you want you want your senior leaders to have people skills, and you want your executives to be worrying about money? Isn't that how it's supposed to work?
I guess looking at it from a technical person's perspective, it's quite galling that you have people who seem to have no technical nous or understanding of what's being delivered for the clients and what, and then the people with the power just seem to care about numbers and see them as a resource to be managed the same as any other technical resource. So that's the frustration that comes from the bottom up in that environment.
So do you think that the technical firms are an outlier in that respect? Because someone like Sundar Pichai or Bill Gates, or even like Demis Hassabis, they're incredibly technical. They're coders, researchers. They've done that stuff, but they are or were at the top of their business.
Yes, and well, so put it this way: we've got other clients where that's the case, where you've got usually it's a founder who's kind of, I think the best ones are the ones that can do both, that don't really piss off the technical people because they understand what they're talking about and can also lead a team and inspire people. But there's all sorts of examples of clients we have where the founder is an engineer, not good with people, and the rest of the organization at the senior level spend a lot of time trying to manage the fallout of behavior from the founder or founders. It's just happened that my wife's company's recently been bought, was founder led up until this point, at least. I think that person spent a lot of time upsetting people with stuff that they were saying, but they were the founder. They had all the control and all the power. No, I don't think it's an outlier, but I'd be interested to do I'm not going to do it because I haven't got the time, but I'd be interested to see, of those sort of big successful companies, how many founders make it to the top and continue long term, how many companies, when they become more established, become more corporate in the sense that you end up with a person who can do leadership and a technical person. And there's lots of examples of where you have companies with, like, the CFO takes over for a bit and everyone's miserable because the CFO only talks about money. And then you have, inspiring creative leaders that don't have the clue about the technical stuff, but they respect the technical stuff enough that people feel loved. So it's just about leadership at the end of the day, isn't it?
It's kind of interfaces. I think you've got a couple of interfaces. Ed Schein's model was that organizations have these three layers. They have the executive who worry about legality and money. You have, middle managers and leadership who should care ideally about people. And then you've got people implementing, and the problem is you've got then those two interfaces to manage. between people and kind of technical people, and money and kind of financial people and people. Often those are kind of poorly managed. And in part, that's because many organizations will, as you know, promote technical people into leadership, discover they haven't got leadership skills, and so on and so on. So those sorts of stories, I think, play out fairly consistently. And it is about, I think, how you manage those tensions at those different interfaces between those layers of concern, between what people care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to sound like cliche, but it does come down to like respect and ego, being a good person that empathizes with others and understands that they're not always right, even if they think they might be. It's not complicated, but I do think that, that people struggle with it. So yeah, I think it's, yes, I think technology companies may be slightly different, but to the earlier point, I think it seems to be the trend, at least.
Yeah. How are you finding it, Charlie?
Finding what?
Running a business, being the person that while the buck stops.
Good. I mean, I enjoy the challenge of it. I said last time. I suppose what I've sort of realized, and maybe it's like an age thing, but I feel like I'm much more aware of my weaknesses than I used to be. And there's stuff that to the point of like, just do the fucking podcast and get on with it. There's stuff that I do in business that I can't do that with, like selecting suppliers to work with. So I've made the mistake of, say, just like getting fed up with no decision had been made and just jumping on something and go, right, we're just doing this now because I can't be bothered to think about it any longer. And that's caused problems. So yeah, I think being intuitive is good in 50% of cases. But I've got better at noticing where I shouldn't be making those decisions. So actually having a team I trust to kind of delegate to and be like, okay, this person is going to like properly make this decision and consider the different variables and do it methodically versus me. So I'm starting to understand where I'm going to be best, we're going to work best, have the most value in the business. I'm better at delegating to people who are better than me at lots of stuff. So yeah, it's good. I mean, there are a couple of times where I've like felt physically sick with stress in the last year and a half, which hasn't been great, but I'm paid well for the problem and the trouble, and worst case scenario, I'll just join the pool of other associates doing whatever.
Associating.
Wait for the universal basic income to kick in.
yeah.
Stockpile of booze.
Stockpile of vodka.
Yeah. I'll just drink myself to death. No, I won't do that. I've got 2 children.
You like it though, right? You enjoy it.
Yeah, I enjoy the challenge of it. I enjoy, I said this last time as well, I enjoy the challenge, the game that is, ultimately a competitive environment with lots of other very smart people doing similar things, trying to, differentiate yourself, understand. It's ultimately about understanding psychology, how people work, how people commit and buy to, put money in your account, basically. How do you get people to do that? And that's an interesting challenge. And then how do you deliver value and make a difference to businesses? So I enjoy all of those things, and I have a really good team that I really enjoy working with. We don't have any toxicity that I'm aware of, at least in my team. So that's all good, really.
Yeah, nice. And Nick, have you been liberated from leadership now that you're sort of a lone wolf doing your own freelance stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think I don't really have any interest in running a business. I don't really want to work for money. I want money to work for me. And I think that took me a long time to realize. I think that, yes, I mean, what I do supports my lifestyle. I like that. I think in terms of being liberated from leadership, which is your kind of point, I do recognize aspects of what you were describing, Charlie, kind of worrying about, it's quite like that, a kind of PA consulting, which is a kind of running a business in protected mode. You've got financial targets to hit, and whatever, you've got to sell stuff. And yeah, worrying about that sort of stuff, it becomes a kind of a huge burden. But yeah, I do feel quite liberated from that. And maybe that's just because I'm not as good a people person as I might like to be. But also I think I share something with you, Russ, which is I like, it's the Captain Kirk thing. It's like people saying, well, you should be an admiral by now. But really, I just want to scoot around the universe exploring in my, little ship. And so I like doing stuff end to end. I like being able to say to a company, I'll put together a whole proposal, I'll kind of shoot the videos, I'll design the program, I'll deliver the program, I love all that. So, and I can do all of that. So I like doing stuff. And as you said, Charlie, delivering value. Well, I think delivering value always sounds a little bit jargony to me. I just think about making a difference. I just like to make a difference. I like to make a difference with people and see that they feel that they've grown as a consequence of something I've done. So yeah, I quite like that.
It feels like there's a disconnect or a discontinuity between the sort of fragmentation of individual consultancy, which seems to be happening, and then what you were talking about earlier, Charlie, about the consolidation of businesses to have safety in numbers and to become bigger. Maybe those things can coexist perfectly well, but it feels interesting that there's almost like two different ways to go to survive today's life.
Well, it depends how stressed you are about when your next paycheck's coming in, I think. I'm very stressed about that because I have people to support. Not literally my family, but also my the team as well. So for me, I'm always thinking about how do we create nodes essentially in other places where people could learn about the work we do and why we're good at it and hire us to do stuff. I think individuals obviously don't have that problem as much, but I would say that because of where everything is now, there's a lot of anxiety and there's a lot of people who have been in businesses for a long time who don't have, let's say, the commercial savviness or whatever it might be to win work and to do work. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about and tapping into and kind of empathizing with a lot as well, because I went through a period similar where I was essentially unemployed for a few months and then eventually got myself a job because I got too scared. And so I think right now, because of the number of conversations I'm having with people who've just been made redundant and are on their own, setting up their own businesses or whatnot, I think it's a good opportunity to offer something to those people, which can also benefit us from a point of view of we're going to help you find your feet and you're going to help us by introducing us to, people that that we can work together on projects with. So that's what I'm doing with, trying to do in Australia. That's what I'm trying to do in the US and so on. So there's always an angle to it, Russ, but you can also do good at the same time. That's my thing.
It's smart. It's good.
Yeah. It's one of my many, 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 many ideas that distracts everybody from doing the work they're supposed to be doing. So, yeah. Anyway, we've covered AI, we've covered a little bit of FIFA, we've covered drinking yourself to death. What would you like to, how would you like to sum up where you are in your life, Russ, and so say something like inspiring or exciting or controversial to finish?
I don't think I'm really the person for any of that. I suppose, I'm in that situation now where I don't have a job. I'm not being paid. I'm looking for my next thing to do. Really sanguine about it at the moment. It was my choice. I made a decision to leave. And I want to try and do something different. And so thinking about what to do there, applying for places, talking to people, seeing what happens. And I don't know how it's going to go. And I think at some point I will get panicked because, I also have responsibilities. I can't live just on love, which is a good job. So I think it's an interesting new time for me. It's an opportunity for me to try and do something different. I definitely would like to move more into focusing more on the AI work. I just think it's incredibly interesting. As I said before, it's the biggest sort of technological shift probably of our lifetime. I mean, I think in terms of its impact on culture and society and the world of work and things like that, really, really important and interesting. And I'm here for it. I want to try and do stuff with it. I think on the agency side, I've been really, really frustrated with how clients are thinking about AI and doing stuff with AI. and I think I can do it quite well. So I would like to try and do that with and for a bigger company. I think to give that a go. Yeah. So watch this space, I guess.
Mm.
I saw a report that came out, you probably did too, that said 95% of AI implementations are failing. And when it looked at the 5% that were succeeding, they were generally because they had somebody who knew what they were doing helping them. So I imagine that your challenge is more about how you market yourself. I don't imagine there's much shortage of demand.
Yeah, and I absolutely hate marketing, so
Yeah.
I'm in trouble here.
Strengths and weaknesses.
Give me a call, Russ.
Yeah, you can
We'll
market me.
sort it out.
Me, Charlie.
Luckily, there's avatars I can create of you to do all the talking head videos that we need. So, but this is this is marketing. We've done some marketing today for you. So
Hey, look, we're doing marketing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here, Charlie.
No, I thought you just wanted to talk to us because you like us. Never mind.
I mean, we could do this down the pub.
Yeah. Good. All right.
Cool.
Well, time's up, I'm afraid. So, yeah, lovely talking to you as always, Russ. And I do salute you for your leap, because it's a bold move, but yeah, it will all be good.
I know what you're saying.
It's a bold move, literally a figurative.
Yeah. Well, I'm easy to render. There's less polygons.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff.
All right.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Good to
Cheers.
see you.
Bye.
Bye.